Hi, Andrew Bell. I most certainly stimulated some great conversation out of my last e-newsletter about population growth. Yes, people had not been considering the significant impact population has on the real estate market. Of course, there are a few who are not advocates for population growth, and we understand and respect that, whilst others understood its significance and were as curious as I am as to how you have a real estate boom when we're in fact down 400,000 people than would have otherwise been the case if the borders had been opened during that pandemic. Well, today I'm just going to cover a little bit more, and that's more about migration as opposed to immigration. Now, today I'm coming to you from the display suite of a spectacular new high-rise development here on the Gold Coast in Surfers Paradise, named Pacific One. Not only is it a superbly positioned corner, northeast facing building just metres from the beach, but it's high quality. It's been built by one of Australia's strongest developers, Central Equity. Melbourne developers who understand style and class. And what's really important is they're the real McCoy, with a record of over 80 projects over 35 years and 100% completion of developments from the announcement of the development to the sellout. One thing's for certain, this building will be built and it will be outstanding. Remember that Surfers Paradise was named the #1 selling suburb in Australia last year. And so we need buildings like Pacific One to satisfy that incredible demand. Well, speaking of demand, as we know, most of our population is concentrated on the eastern seaboard of Australia. The Australian Bureau of Statistics keeps a record of where the population is and their movements. The top 50 regional areas of Australia, which incorporates the big cities, covers only 5% of our country's landmass. But wait for it, it actually accommodates 83% of Australia's near 26 million people. It certainly gets things into perspective when we talk about overpopulation, which we can see is largely limited number of areas, and certainly not countrywide. By the way, the Gold Coast is ranked #6 in population size. Well, it's no secret, and I'm sure that most of us are aware, that the pandemic has driven a significant change to how we operate in the workplace. And it really highlights people's change of desires for lifestyle. It used to be about the attraction to move to the big cities where there was more work opportunities and a lot more entertaining. But that's reversed itself. Just look at last year alone, where 34,000 left Melbourne and just a little less than 30,000 left Sydney. In fact, for the year ending June 21, there was a net 48,000 people relocating away from the capital cities to regional Australia. Whilst of course here on the Gold Coast, we feel like we captured all of them. That's actually not the case. Small amounts of migration to some areas are having big impacts. For example, down on the Bass Coast of Victoria, they had a huge 13.8% growth over 5 years to the end of June 21. For real estate, it had an immediate impact. What we saw in the Bass Coast area over those same 5 years was prices rose by 100%. To get some perspective, Sydney, Melbourne and Adelaide at the same time only averaged 40% growth. What we don't really have yet is the most accurate recent records. With a country as big and as broad as ours, and even with authorities such as the Australian Bureau of Statistics suffering with a shortage of staff, it's no surprise that we're just not getting all of the information as quickly as we would have liked. But no question, the Gold Coast has been a huge attraction for migrators. Put aside the fact that some of the best weather is here on the Gold Coast, well, normally, we're only one of 5 areas in the world that has what's described as a perfect climate. Now, there's a host of other attractions that bring people here. We now have amazing job opportunities that we never had before. We've got that broadening economic base that's bringing prosperity. We have wonderful schooling for young families. You know, per head of population, we rank near the very top scholastically. And of course, what other area in Australia other than the capital city has 3 universities? Our shopping facilities keep getting better and better, whether it's Pacific Fair or Harbour Town or Robina Town Centre. And our restaurants have exploded with a choice and quality that we've never seen before. And you know, compared to our capital cities, we're still incredibly great value if you're looking for your real estate purchase. Officially at the moment, we're showing our population has grown by 5.2% for the past year. But I really believe that we haven't got all the latest full data. And I think we'll see a significant change in that data as the new information comes to hand. But even at 5.2%, that's over 35,000 people. And that's a mighty big jump. It goes a long way to explaining why our real estate prices here on the Gold Coast has risen so sharply over the past 2 years. But let's not kid ourselves that we will just continue to be a magnet. If our pricing gets too expensive, migrators will look to other areas. If we don't keep up with new building supply, then people just simply won't be able to move here and we won't be able to accommodate them. And of course, there is a responsibility by our City Council to develop our infrastructure, whether it's roads, transport and multiple other facilities they're responsible for. Likewise with the state government, we need to continue to build our hospitals and our educational facilities and so on. But for those who own a property on the Gold Coast, they've been extremely happy to see the boost in their property values after a long period of stagnation. It's really been a big case of catch-up. We are still great value by comparison, but for those looking to buy, don't hold back. Make your move as quickly as you can. You may have to compromise in the area that you want to buy or the type of property you want to buy, but get into the market while it's still affordable. Make sure if you're an apartment buyer, you come and view Pacific One. They really are well-designed units, and I challenge you to find better value for money than Pacific One. It's in an ideal location, as I said. Unlike many other projects that are getting scrapped at the moment because of building costs that have blown out, Pacific One will be built. So you won't have wasted huge amounts of time being tied up with a building that doesn't go ahead or caught out with higher prices because you took another year to find another place. Prices here start from just $635,000 and we're metres from the beach. Now details are on screen now of who to contact for more details. Make that call today. Well, we're all pleased to see the elections out of the road and we can start focusing on perhaps some more positive things. It was a terribly distracting time, but we can start getting back to some really great normal times. For those of us who are living here, let's continue to enjoy this beautiful area. And for those coming to visit and thinking about moving here, come up quick. Let's see you and we'll look after you with all your housing needs. For now, make the best of our winter season. Hope to see you here soon.